Hello, friends, and happy Saturday. Welcome back to another reading of Anubis, Ancient Egypt's Lord of Death and Protection by Charlie Lawson. Again, you guys, I will say it again and again and again. I just love, love, love this book. Now, for those of you that are new, we take Saturdays to read a portion of this book to break apart misconceptions that go throughout the media about who Anubis, about who Anpu is, as well as to learn information about who this very complex deity is and actually has been. So let's go ahead and dive in, you guys. Okay, friends, so we are still in the chapter of who is Anubis, and we are in this section of the dog headed god. The Egyptian pantheon contains multiple canon deities, although Anubis was arguably one of the most widely known and worshipped. In fact, his popularity spread rapidly into Europe, and he has even survived into the modern era. Depictions of him have been found in tombs and temples throughout Egypt, where he was often depicted as a black canid, mostly commonly interpreted as a jackal, sitting upon a pedestal, an altar, or a platform of some kind. It is hard to know exactly what kind of canid Anubis is. However, the jackals found in Egypt aren't black. So why is he often identified as a jackal? In the hot, unforgiving desert, death was cruel. Only a few animals could survive in the environment, one of which was the jackal. Although they sometimes hunted small animals, jackals were most commonly scavengers, relying on carnage for food in order to conserve their energy in the immense heat. They dug up shallow graves and ate the remains of the dead. Thus, it makes sense in a more primitive culture of pre-dynastic Egypt before the time of kings and pharaohs, people prayed to animals native to the desert, including jackals, for protection and guidance to ensure that the remains of their dead were not eaten. Some modern Egyptologists note that the canid form of Anubis could also be that of a wild or domesticated dog, a fox, or even now extinct species of jackal that were more closely related to wolves and coyotes. All of these were found in pre-dynastic Egypt. The difficulty in clarifying this is that artistic representation in Egypt were not realistic and relied on the use of symbolism. So it is impossible to know exactly what was intended in these portrayals. One possible explanation is that these depictions represent an archetype that encompass multiple canids that have similar appearances, similar behaviors, and similar symbolic meanings. Anubis also commonly portrayed as a figure with the body of a man and the head of a black canid. Rarely was he ever depicted in full human form, although there are a few instances of this. As with many Egyptian deities, he was often shown with an ankh or a staff, which symbolized the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Pharaohs were often buried with small statues of Anubis in hopes that he would not only protect their bodies, but help guide them in the afterlife. One of the best known depictions of Anubis was found in the now famous tomb of King Tut, a boy king who was thought to be disabled and died at a young age. The tomb of King Tut, as he came to be known in the modern world, is a rare instance of a tomb that was found entirely intact and undisturbed. Discovered in 1922 by an archaeological team led by famous British archaeologist and Egyptologist Howard Carter, this tomb contained a large statue of Anubis portrayed as a dog like figure sitting atop a pedestal directly inside the doorway of the tomb, facing outward to guard the entrance. A little known fact is that upon its discovery, the statue of Anubis was adorned with layers of shrouds, a sash, and a garland of flowers. These were later removed as the treasures of the tomb were retrieved, and now the statue is displayed without them in the Museum of Cairo. The sash, similar to those worn around the waist of pharaohs, gods, and goddesses, was a symbol of protection and of those who protect. Representationally, thought to come from the hieroglyphic for the word amulet. Okay, you guys. So that is the reading for today on who is Anubis. And as always, if you guys would like to put or talk or discuss anything about Anubis in the comments, please feel free to do so unless it is disrespectful and like different like viewpoint, like Christian based or something like that, then you're not welcome here. But other than that, if you want to discuss Anubis, then go ahead, put your comments in the comment section. And I love you guys. I'll see you next week.